Biafra, superstars, media.
Getting a little bit frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground, because that sort of misses the whole point. That is that the strongest boots on the ground in the world right now are with Ukraine. They have the land forces. Then it's a question about which phase and how Europe will come to support Ukraine. In the air.
Hold on there for me. My people know how on a day to day. I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you listen to the sound of my voice. This one not Biafra Superstars Media, and I'm holding it down. I say may God bless Biafra, and may God bless His Excellency Oyendo Mazenam Kano. May God bless, may God bless, may God bless His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Biafra, USB, His Excellency, ESN, Ekpa, Simon and Joko, for the job Simon is doing. Simon, I want to say we thank you. We appreciate you, we love you, because we know in your hands, Biafra is safe. In your hands, Biafra will be free. And in your hands, now that Biafra has come, the people of Biafra will rejoice. Fellow Biafrans, I will go straight to the point. The one they call the Finnish president, Alex Stubb, he's crying like a baby. He's crying, lamenting for Ukraine, screaming and shouting for Ukraine, asking for the whole world to support Ukraine against Russia. But it's so funny. Today, we are hearing that Freedom House, the organization responsible for ranking countries when it comes to those that respect the rule of law, those that obey human rights and respect human rights, again, they have given Finland, Norway, Sweden to an extent as well, 100%. This is the problem. So please, for the lovers of Biafra, those that love Simon Ekpa, those that love Nnamdi Kanu, those that see the hanky-panky that Ukraine, or I would say Finland, is doing with Nigeria, it is time we write to the Freedom House. We must help educate them what Finland is doing to our Prime Minister, Obatobie. They must know that Finland cannot be trusted, and it's a slap on the face of Africa, a slap on the face on we the Biafrans, that Finland and Norway are scoring 100 points. They are top ranked when it comes to those countries that respect and obey the rule of law. I can't the one that say, what in the happen here? Is it that Freedom House does not, get engaged in social media? Can they see what is happening in Finland and also in the land of Biafra? So at this point, before we go deeper, I want us to just hear when this man is blabbing his mouth, talking about all the things he's talking about for Ukraine. And then I'll ask him some questions. That how come you have so much love for another country? Ukraine is not even your native country. But somehow you profess this, your solidarity, love, and support for Ukraine. But you feel somehow for a man like Simon Ekpa, who is supporting his own birthplace, Biafra. You locked him up in somewhere where he's incommunicado. He cannot communicate with the outside world. Alexander Stubb, what's going on? Fellow Biafrans, we must take this video and send it to the Freedom House, because they must understand what Finland is doing and Norway is doing to the one they call Dr. Cho. So the same way Finland is dealing with Biafra, Norway is dealing with Ambazonia. Let's continue and hear this man, the way he's so angry about the delay happening between Ukraine and Russia. Listen, he's so angry. Listen.
Getting a little bit frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground, because that sort of misses the whole point. That is that the strongest boots on the ground in the world right now are with Ukraine. They have the land forces. Then it's a question about which phase and how Europe will come to support Ukraine. In the air, in the sea, with reconnaissance, with intelligence, etc., etc.
Hold it there. See how he's speaking. He is so frustrated, saying that when it comes to boot on the ground, Ukraine is number one. They have the best boot on the ground in Europe. Similar to the Biafrans, when we say men on ground, I hope now you understand the similarities. But this man said he's frustrated. He's speaking on behalf of a different country. But somehow it is a curse, a taboo. Simon Ekpa is called a terrorist for speaking on behalf of his own country, his native country, his motherland. Alexander, stop. What's the meaning of this? That's my question. What is the meaning of this? How come it is okay for you to say all these things? But it's not okay. It's a taboo. It's against the law. It's a war crime for a black man to speak on behalf of his native country, Biafra. A black Finnish. A man who has Finnish citizenship. He is speaking for his native country, Biafra, and you locked him up and threw away the keys, but you are speaking for a different country. You are speaking on behalf. You are advocating for Ukraine. And it's okay for you to do it. You feel frustrated that America is trying to slow things down. You feel frustrated that America is trying to talk about ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. You feel frustrated that Europe, they are dragging their feet when it comes to supporting and sponsoring Ukraine. You feel frustrated. Those are your words, not mine. Take it back and listen again. Listen.
A little bit frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground. Getting a little bit frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground. Getting a little bit frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground. Getting a little bit frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground.
One more time.
Frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground. Frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground.
Hold it there. Hold it there for me.
Sort of
Hold it there, sir. Hold it there for me. That's the problem. He's frustrated about the boots on the ground. The delay for Ukrainians to have their boot on the ground. He's tight. He's fidgeting. He's angry. He's frustrated. Fellow Biafrans, let it sink in. If you think you are in America, you are in Japan, Australia, anywhere around the world where they profess human rights, they say they believe in the Equality Act of 2010. Oh my God. Biafrans, make sure that they understand something. Those rights, to call a spade, only extend to the native of those lands. Those their so-called rights only ends in their corridor. If you're a black man living in Finland, you're wasting your time. If you're a black man living in Europe, you're wasting your time. They don't extend those so-called fundamental human rights to you. Because if you ask me, I don't understand how a third world country like Nigeria can hold Nnamdi Kanu for 5 years now and counting. And Britain, that Nnamdi Kanu draws his citizenship from, a black citizen of Britain was kidnapped from Kenya, sent to Nigeria, and Britain is doing nothing about it. You and I know if that person was a white man, by now the story will be different. So I want you to start seeing things the way things are. That as long as you are in a foreign land on your sojourn, do not expect them to extend that freedom and liberty to you. They do the good talk. They talk the good talk. Even in the workplace, there's something they call the institutional racism. In the workplace, they call it institutional racism. But they pretend as if they love you. Because I don't understand how this man here is professing his love for Ukraine. He's feeling frustrated. That kind of the other countries, they are dilly-dallying when it comes to funding and supporting Ukraine against the war with Russia. He's frustrated. But the Biafrans, we have to just take it on the chin. We cannot speak for the liberation of our own country, Biafra. If you are based in Finland and you speak about Biafra, they call you, they tag you a terrorist, they lock you up somewhere incommunicado for 7 months. They work hand in hand with the Nigerian government to blackmail you for speaking for your freedom. But this man can speak on behalf of Ukraine, and it's okay. They see him as a champion. He was awarded, his country was awarded the most peaceful country, the most law-abiding country around the whole world by Freedom House. Fellow Biafrans, this is the problem. Let's continue. Listen.
Point. That is that
Take it back.
about this debate on boots on the ground, because that sort of misses the whole point. That is that the strongest boots on the ground in the world right now are with Ukraine. They have the land forces. Then it's a question about which phase and how Europe will come to support Ukraine in the air, in the sea, with reconnaissance, with intelligence, etc., etc.
This man is speaking about war. How can Europe come to support Ukraine? In the air, in the sea, in the land, etc., 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 etc. Lord have mercy, Oyibo. This is what he's speaking here. He's advocating for war. He's in support of war. He's frustrated because Trump has stepped in and is saying enough of this madness, that Ukraine is about to trigger the Third World War. And suddenly, Finland is frustrated. Listen.
NATO membership for Ukraine is what we should strive for. And I'm sure that we'll see language in that direction as we start moving towards the Washington summit in July. So step by step, but I think the direction is quite clear. It's just a question of timing.
It's a question of time. This man is confident that Ukraine will soon join NATO. Step by step, block by block, street by street, compound to compound. Can you hear the same words as re-echoed by Amazonian leader Dr. Cho when he was saying, we shall regain our land block by block, step by step, street to street, village to village, brick by brick. Now this man is speaking the same thing. But this man is free because he's the president of Finland. He's free to say what he wants to say. Nobody will come and lock him up in jail. But today as we speak, the head of Amazonia is locked up somewhere in Norway. And the Prime Minister of Biafra is locked up in Finland. How do you justify this to the whole world? You claim you believe in freedom, the fundamental human rights, the freedom to speak, your speech, association, and all those things. You have the right to do everything. This is what you all profess every time. But over and over again, when a black man tries to exercise these so-called rights, it becomes a problem. Because if Alexander Stubb can speak this way fluently in the whole world, the media, nobody is stopping him. Even Russia has not even come to bomb Finland for him speaking this way. But somehow when a black man speaks for his own liberation, it becomes a problem. He is found guilty. He is seen as a terrorist. He is picked up, locked up incommunicado. They lock him up and throw away the keys. Taken away from his family, as in the case of our Prime Minister, His Excellency, Abantuum. Oh my God, I'm pissed off. I'm angry. I'm angry. How come the same brush will suddenly be paint, or will used to paint something different? If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If it's good for him to speak this way, then it is okay, at least for our Prime Minister, to speak on behalf of Biafra. That's what we are saying. In your case, you are speaking for a different country, not even your own country. You are speaking for your neighbors, Ukraine. But in the case of Simon Ekpa, he is speaking for his motherland, Biafra, where he was born, his birthplace. Lord have mercy, my heart is heavy. It's unfair. Europe is unfair. I mean, this attitude to the black man, everywhere we go, they say the black man is free, but everywhere on chains. Black man is free, but everywhere on chains. Even in the so-called market sector, the black man is the last to be hired and first to be fired. The black man is the last person to be hired and the first person to be fired in the workplace. It beats my imagination. You wonder, what have we done wrong? All we are saying is we want our freedom and our liberation. We are trying to anchor according to the rights as professed by the UN. But no, when it comes to the black man, things are different. Suddenly they are communicating with a criminal country. Nigeria is a criminal enterprise, but suddenly now the Western world, they are working hand in hand with them. They see them as people they could work with, do business with. You are holding a black Finnish. You are holding a black Finnish citizen incommunicado, locking him up because a third world country like Nigeria lied to you about him. Where is that done? If our Prime Minister Sabinepa was a white man, would you hold him up and lock him up because a third world country in Africa, an underdeveloped country in Africa, an underdeveloping country in Africa, a shithole country in Africa told you that they've done something wrong? Would you? You and I knows the answer. But every time when it comes to your selfish interest, you put yourself first before the freedom of a people. This is the problem I have with you guys. You are pretenders. Your so-called equality right does not extend to the black people all across Europe. You are a bunch of pretenders. You are a bunch of pretenders. Let's continue.
NATO membership for Ukraine is what we should strive for. And I'm sure that we'll see language in that direction as we start moving towards the Washington summit in July. So step by step.
Look at the plans put in place. A NATO membership for Ukraine. That's something you guys are striving for. And step by step, everything is getting into formation as you look towards the summit in Washington in the month of July. This is the thinking of you guys. But in the case of the Biafrans, all we did was to, organize our convention in Finland and Latin Finland. From the 29th of November 2024 to the 3rd of December 2024. And guess what? 2 weeks to the convention. You, Finland, you and your government, you arrested our leader for no reason. All you did was invite him for questioning. And this is the 5th month you are still holding him incommunicado for Nigeria, a third world country. But here you are in your high horse, speaking, planning for the summit in Washington in the month of July to go and speak and advocate for Ukraine and the rest of them. This is the problem I have. This is the problem. They tell you, oh, you Africans, you are killing yourself. Oh, you go to the Red Sea. You want to go to Europe and you die in the sea. How come you're doing all these things? You guys should help yourself. Go back to your country and turn things around. But unfortunately, when we take the same advice you give to us, when we look backwards to Africa, the motherland, to go and build Africa, it's the same you that will now come and boycott and become a clog to the wheels of our progress. You are still the one coming to sabotage our liberation. How I wish the citizens of Finland can watch this video. Understand that your president worked and connived with a third world country in Africa, Nigeria, a shithole country, a third world criminally corrupt country. A country described by Lord David Cameron as being fantastically corrupt, a corrupt enterprise. Your president, Alexander Stubb, went into partnership with Nigeria because they promised him oil and gas. Gas he can't get from Russia anymore. He was promised by the Nigerian government under one condition: to blackmail and sabotage a black Finnish citizen living in Finland. I repeat, your government, your Finnish government, was asked to blackmail a black Finnish citizen in exchange for oil and gas. And as we speak, since the 18th of November 2024, Till today, this same man has been held in a secret location in Finland, incommunicado. All because he's speaking for the liberation of his own people, Biafra. It's a sin, it's a taboo for a black man to speak for his liberation in Europe. But you claim there is freedom of speech. You claim everybody has the right to express themselves. No. You claim African leaders, they are criminals, they are corrupt, they steal money and stash outside abroad. You say all those things, but suddenly your own government, your own people are partnering, doing business with the same so-called African leaders. What a shame. Hence, I'm calling on the Freedom House to do what is right. Do what is right and wash them off. Take them off that list. They don't deserve it. They don't.
In my mind, Ukraine needs four things. One is territory, and here we don't know where things are going to settle. The second one is security guarantees. So probably territory and security guarantees in these negotiations will go hand in hand. And of course, in my mind, eventually EU membership and NATO membership. The third one is justice, so Russian war criminals indicted. And then the low-hanging fruit is actually number four, which is reconstruction. It's difficult to say at this stage, but I think we in Europe and the rest of the world needs to understand that Donald Trump is very serious about getting a peace deal sooner rather than later. I have myself said that there's a window of opportunity for these negotiations between the election and the inauguration day. Let's see what happens. In my mind, Ukraine needs four things. One is territory, and here we don't know where things are going to settle. The second one is security guarantees. So probably territory and security guarantees in these negotiations.
Hold it there. With all due respect. Talking about territories and security is being guaranteed for a different country. They call him a champion. They see him as one of the, the figureheads when it comes to those advocating for Ukraine. But what's so funny is the same country, Finland, a black Finnish, is speaking for the liberation of his own people. But this same man locked him up. This same Alexander Stubb locked him up. The same man who is advocating for Ukraine locked up a black Finnish in the name of Simon Ekman in Finland. That's the hypocrisy. I want to show you all the hypocrisy. No place like home. You will never be respected until you go back and liberate yourself. Biafrans. And to the whole blacks around the whole world. Don't think, that you are being loved wherever you are. No. Home is home. Africa is home. But it's so funny that at the time when a people have decided to liberate themselves and go back home, the same Europeans are the ones sabotaging the movement. It's so funny. Very, very strange. But they are so quick to tell you. They are so quick, hey, go back to your Africa. Go back to Africa. Go back home. Go back home. They are so quick to say that to your face. But when you take their advice and you are making moves to go back home, the same government will come to sabotage you. Lord have mercy. Damn if you do. Damn if you don't. Listen.
Hand in hand. And of course, in my mind, eventually EU membership and NATO membership. The third one is justice, so Russian war criminals indicted. And then the low-hanging fruit is actually number four.
Justice for Ukraine. Justice for Ukraine. That's what he's speaking about. But not justice for the 7 million children and people of Biafra killed during the Biafran War. They don't even care about that story anymore. If you leave it to the whole world, nothing happened. Say nothing and everything is fine. Don't ask, don't tell. Ignore it. When a black man dies, just ignore it. Don't ask, don't tell. 7 million were massacred during the so-called Biafran uncivil war. Not civil war. It was uncivil. But they don't care about it. There's no justice. They don't care about our pain. But here he is speaking on behalf of Ukraine and saying those war or the Russian war, mongers and the rest of them must be brought to book. That's what he's saying. But when we said, okay, we the Biafrans, it is time to go home and implement Biafra. We have redeclared Biafra. It is time to implement Biafra. On our way to go and, redeclare Biafra in Finland, this same man and his government, they called in our prime minister for questioning and they locked him up. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. But he's here speaking on behalf of Ukraine. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy at its best. Mr. Alexander Stubb, you should be ashamed of yourself. That you did that to a black man in Finland. A man without a criminal record. Go and check the records of Simon Ekpa. A man who served in your army. A man who served you. He served Finland with his life. Simon Ekpa has no case, no criminal record in Finland. His records are as clean as a whistle. But yet, when a criminal country like Nigeria came to you and offered you something you could not reject, they offered you something you could not ignore, gas and oil. You deemed it fit to sabotage your own. Because he's a black man. Yes, he's a Finnish, but he's black, so black, it doesn't matter. Lock him up in jail and go sign those contracts in Nigeria. That's what you did. So I wonder, how do you feel at night? Don't you have a conscience? How do you feel that you're here speaking for Ukraine? A different country, but somebody who was speaking for the liberation of their own country is being locked up incommunicado in your country by you and your government. Hence, we're calling on the Freedom House to do what is right. The Freedom House must do what is right. Stop recognizing Finland, Norway, and Sweden as the best countries in the world when it comes to the human right or respecting the human right. That's a fallacious statement. It's a fallacy because they've broken everything for the past 18 months. You can't see Norway and Finland as scoring 100%. Distinction when it comes to respecting human rights. What's going on here? Or don't the black people matter anymore in Europe? Don't the blacks matter anymore in Europe? Don't we have rights anymore? What a shame. What a shame. But fellow Biafrans, we are glad that our very good friend, our brother, Michael Rubin has written an article on this. He's writing to, the reason why Finland, Norway, and Sweden shouldn't top the freedom ranking. I love this article and I think you all should read it. I will read a bit of them and for you to go through it because this was ranked by the so-called Freedom House and they ranked Finland again as 100%. In this article he says, and I read, once again, Freedom House awarded Finland, Norway, and Sweden its top ranking in its annual freedom in the world dataset. Finland received a perfect score of 100, scoring 40 out of a possible 40 for political rights and the maximum 60 for civil liberties. Imagine that. Norway and Sweden, each scored 99% or 99 total points, with Norway docked 1 point for political rights and Sweden losing 1 point for civil liberties. The United States, in contrast, scored just 84, on par with Mongolia and below Slovakia. Italy, and France. Scandinavian countries do not deserve such laurels. However, over the past 18 months, each was put to the test and each failed, putting commercial and military interest above from freedom and human rights. Now let's go deeper on this one. It said, consider Finland. On November 29, 2024, following a referendum, Biafrans formally declared their independence during a convention in Finland, occupying Igbo-populated region of southeastern Nigeria. Biafra first sought independence in 1967. The Nigerian government responded with a deliberate campaign of genocide that claimed more than 2 million lives. 2 million? It's 7 million and counted. 7 million lives were lost. Michael Rubin. But let's continue. Many war criminals from the era subsequently rose to Nigeria's highest ranks, including former President Muhammadu Buhari, Home Secretary of State Antony Blinken, feted during his first trip to Nigeria. In recent years, the Nigerian government has resumed its assault on the Christian Igbos. It bosses the Fulani Islamic military men to slaughter Christians, while the Biden administration wrote that off as a result of climate change, induced migration, and that was nonsense. Global warming does not, said that was nonsense. Global warming does not charter buses, for gunmen. Nigerian government officials do. That's a very good point. Global warming does not charter guns and buses for gunmen. The Nigerian government do. That's a very good point by Michael Rubin. Let's continue. He said, and I quote, "It was against that backdrop that Simon Ekpa, a Biafran activist born in Nigeria who moved to Finland with his family in 2007, helped organize a referendum that culminated in the Independence Declaration. Certainly, Ekpa and his critics, or he had his critics, both amongst the Biafran community and in Finland. But his activities violated no Finnish law. Let me take it easy for you guys. His activities violated no Finnish law. Quite on contrary, he was a productive member of Finnish society, serving as chairman of the main Igbo diaspora community in Finland, as well as the local playground board. Listen to this. He served in the Finnish army and ran for local office." So he spoke very, very well here. He spoke very, very well. It's a very, very long, stuff. But he's just saying here that Finland, shouldn't be getting those awards. They shouldn't be getting those awards because you wonder how, what criteria was used. What criteria was used. So please try to read this. It's a very good one. It says why Finland, Norway, and Sweden shouldn't top freedom ranking. It's a very good one. Very good read. Thank you very much. I love you all. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Biafra. Yeah, Superstar Media. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra. I wanna know. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra. I wanna know. We going back to the land. We going back to the motherland. Biafra. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the land. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the land.